So for you specifically, and actually I'll call back to what we talked about in the beginning a little bit, because that was something I had written down. So you're super, like I said, involved in this community. I mean, I personally don't know any other LGS owner who actually engages in the community like you do, not just on YouTube, but I mean, obviously you're in Discord, you're in Instagram chats, like things like that. Do you think or how much of an effect do you think that's had on Cardinal Gaming's like brand share or success and things like that, because you're personally involved or so ingrained, I guess, in the community? And I guess if that is going to have a little bit of an impact on it, do you think that, or why would LGS owners not be more involved like you are? Because really, like you said, you seem to be pioneering that, and you're the only one I've seen, at least in the Pokemon space.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's been huge. It's huge for the business. I mean, the YouTube is the #1 analytic to my website, outpacing even just the organic, just like local person going on there and searching. The referrals through my website is #1 YouTube.
Wow.
So it's been huge. Yeah, absolutely. Like, and people come in and people that are traveling through, because Louisville has several interstates that pass through it, and they kind of converge. And I had a guy when I first started the channel, early on, he said, I'm taking my daughter down to Tennessee for some treatment. Medical treatment. I didn't ask, but and he was like, I got my collection here. I saw your channel and I wanted to sell it to you because of your channel. And he ended up having like over $1,000 collection that he brought into me just because of the YouTube channel. I mean, that alone, that's far surpassing and far outreaching any sort of ad revenue or any of that crap that is pennies.
Sure.
In the grand scheme of things, if you're looking at it weekly, daily, whatever metric. But yeah, I mean, it's been huge. Like the entire scope of my business, just like Pokemon has, it's spiked, and it is, and even if we go back down, it's still been a huge boom to the business and what we've been able to do and add and upgrade and things like that along the way. Yeah, it's been because of the success of the YouTube channel and of Pokemon in general, and just being in a position to capitalize on all that. And I obviously I spend all this time and talking about Pokemon because it's fun and I enjoy it, and for me, that's my place of enjoyment. Just the matter of fact that I can create a successful business talking about it, and able to buy collections and talk to people and sell cards to people and all that. That's just a bonus at this point. I mean, I'd be here regardless.
So why do you think other LGS owners haven't? I mean, I'm assuming they probably, especially local to you, are aware of the amount of subscribers you have and things like that. And I mean, obviously you can put two and two together and think, if he's got 20,000 people that are sub to him, worst case scenario, he gets 100 people that go to his store just for that. I mean, that's got to be attractive to them. So why do you think that most LGS owners, and I'm talking generally here, so if you know more than that, let me know, but why do you think the majority of them aren't as engaged in this hobby specifically? I mean, obviously they may be, like I mentioned earlier, in sports or something else, but for Pokemon, which I think, was so absolutely massive over the course of the last year, why do you think no one's kind of followed in your footsteps, I guess, on that?
Well, I mean, I think there has been a few, especially newer stores, and game stores are typically, go in cycles where if something peaks in popularity, if Magic gets hot or popular or something like that, something catches fire or a new game comes out that's really popular, a new store will pop up and that'll be their big thing that they're into, right? Like I said, I just happen to be, I love Pokemon.
Sure.
And I think most stores out there though are super into like Magic. Magic is the #1 TCG for most stores.
What's the events and things, right? They do
Yeah.
more Magic events because there's more of a player base and gets people in the store to buy.
Right.
Am I
Yeah.
right on that?
So if before all this, they maybe had like an event on Sundays where a bunch of kids would come up there and tear up their store and try to play Pokemon, and they would sell the packs and products just because people bring their kids or whatever in, they're going to want Pokemon cards or whatever. To them, it's not as big of a deal, and it's not the driving factor behind their business. So again, most stores that are established and been around and not just popped up in the past couple of years are heavily in Magic and stuff like that. And the people that started those businesses because they're into Magic and they want to buy and sell and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's a big part of it. Is probably just a lot of people probably even still see Pokemon as just like, yeah, it's a thing I sell on my shelf and it fills the space between Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh, and that's just something that kids will come in and buy, or parents will come in and buy for their kids. It's just
well, definitely sounds like a missed opportunity. I would say from my side. I mean, you've obviously got even the financials and the monetary gain to kind of show that Pokemon is definitely one of the hottest, if not the hottest thing that you can buy on the shelf when it comes to cardboard right now.
Sure.
But I can kind of understand the and not that I'm kind of overstepping my expertise here, but kind of the old school mentality of like in-person events are going to be what really drive revenue for our business, and this is what we're doing. And I think COVID specifically with all the shutdowns, that probably, I mean, I would think that would be more of a wake-up call of like, oh, we can't count on just in-person events for these specific TCGs. That may affect something where we need more online exposure and more online traffic, things like that. So yeah, I was really curious about that, because I'm glad you brought it up at the beginning. And we didn't talk about this, guys, beforehand, but Mason talking about how he's kind of unique in this space as an LGS owner.
It typically comes up. So yeah.
Yeah, I think somebody called you a 1-of-1 earlier, and I agree with them. So I would completely echo that all day.
I'm serial.
Yeah.
That was me.
Oh, that was you. Okay.
Jeez.
I'm trying to keep my attention on you guys instead of just sitting here reading the chat.
But yeah, I mean, and that's something I talk on a lot too, is a lot of these stores, and just LGSs in general, are very just stuck in like the early 2000s, and just they don't have websites, they don't have, they don't live stream anything, which is crazy to me. Like, we live stream, it's just click a button.
Yeah, I've seen your games and stuff like that. You just set up a still frame camera and go from there.
It's so easy. And it's free promotion. People will hop on and know that you exist. It's in where anybody can hop online and buy anything they want all the time. You have to be throwing your name out there constantly. And these older stores that it's crazy to me that the lack of outreach or any effort at all. There's a store local to me that is much bigger than I. They sell literally everything, sports cards, all everything under the sun, and they will run a win a case event for Pokemon and do zero advertising for it.
Just
so
if you're there, if you're a regular,
yeah. So like the whole point of doing that would be to drive people to come to your store, but then they don't advertise it, so you are just losing money. They gave away a case of Fusion Strike. Even more than that, that was the number one thing for the winner, won a whole case, and then everybody else won less things. Yeah. But still, boxes of Fusion Strike.
I mean, a case giveaway that's going to drive a lot of people. I mean, if somebody's like, I can get a case of a fairly popular set, I mean, that's pretty unheard of.
Over $1,000 in like actual, not wholesale, but market value items. And 12 people showed up.
Oh my gosh!
At $25 a person. So
you think too, in an online
threw away money.
Yeah, and I'm thinking the classic Instagram post, right? Tag 3 your friends, reshare this, do that. Just some way to kind of build that exposure, because that's what you're paying for. I would think, with the $500-600 they're paying out of pocket or whatever that may be. I mean, that's definitely worth it.
So there's just a lot of that just it boggles the mind that people aren't doing more outreach, and just even locally, just like streaming things on Facebook and doing Facebook sales and stuff like that. It's all additional revenue missed out.
Yeah, well, that's and that's awesome to hear your take, because I know you've been in a ton of live streams, and part of what I really the goal was of having you on is to kind of understand that side of the business, and just kind of obviously being able to put Cardinal Gaming up there, because you guys do, and you specifically, I mean, you guys really engage in the community. Again, your live streams, you're personally engaged. I mean, I can even speak from experience. I tried to buy a couple of cases of a CCG from you, and I think DNA in the chat mentioned earlier when he was driving through Louisville, all he wanted to do was go to your store. And I don't think that's just because you sell Pokemon. I think it's because it's you, and you're engaged, and people buy from people they're familiar with. So, no, I think that's awesome.